Karibuni, welcome tuelimishwe kwa masuala ya jamii, tuchunguze sana mbalimbali, tujuze juu ya matukio ya kila pembe, tuwapa burudani kwa familia nzima.
Now, a very good evening to you and welcome to Art in Heart. My name is Nyanduko254. Now, today the program on air is Against All Odds. Today we talk about the story of one Likuyani Eli, a man that decided to dare abroad, a man that decided that his life is about catching flights, not catching feelings. It is about moving in and out of the country like he owns the place. It is a story about a man who became a parent at a very young age, a man who has been resilient, worked hard, and built his way up from down and never gave up. This is the story of one Likuyani Eli, and I'd like to have him on set so that we can talk about this and get to know how his journey has been. So, Eli, wherever you are, a round of applause for you and welcome. How are you? How are you feeling this evening?
Hi, Nyanduko. Thank you for having me. It's rare sitting on this side of the aisle, but you know what? I think I'm game, ready to tell probably part of my story, if not all of it.
Okay, Eli. So it's interesting that you're one person who catches flights. You and Atwoli same WhatsApp. Ni Brussels, Belgium. Tunakuona tu kwa ndege ukipepea. What's the story there? It looks like you were born with a silver spoon, yani maisha soft. You are the male version of baby girl. Wewe ni baby boy. Baby boy, talk to us.
That's very true. I think, as you said, Atoli and I probably share some common traits when it comes to traveling, and probably I would have been baby boy in my other life, but unfortunately, that is not always the true side of everybody's lives. I don't know if you want to allow me to introduce myself or mimi ninajulikana, so I don't know
Yes,
where to take it.
I want to know who is Likuyani Eli. I mean, we all know you as Likuyani Eli, but today you gave me another side. I want to get the side of Elikana Ambata. Who are you as a person?
Well, Elikana Ambata is my name, and most of you know me as Likuyani Eli because, fortunately enough, Likuyani is actually a family name borrowed from the late grandfather, the father to my dad. So that's where Likuyani comes from. And Eli, it's clearly a short form of my full name, which is Elikana. And it's a beautiful name because my mother dreamt about this name before I was born. So that's why I carry it with pride, actually. And Elikana is a very young man, I will say, ambitious. And on top of that, I believe I'll be telling much about me as we proceed, about who I am, where I've come from, and where I'm headed. But all the same, Nyanduko, thank you for having me tonight.
You're welcome, Eli. You're welcome. So tell us. I really want to know more about your academics. Who are you? You've not really told me who you are as a person and what are your qualifications, because we see you here producing this show every other day, and maybe it's just you doing guesswork. I would really love to know, where does this all come from?
Well, I will get to that, Nyanduko, but let me take you back because sometimes to understand who a person is, you need to and you get to understand where they are from. I was born in a very small village called Buyoha. That is in a tiny, that's a clan actually. I come from a clan called the Bayoha, and the story and the myth behind it is that we happen to be one of the most cleverest clan actually, because when it's raining, we tend to protect our umbrellas and put it underneath our armpits so that our umbrellas don't get rained on.
Oh,
but what people don't
wow.
know,
That is
what
very
people
brilliant.
very brilliant indeed, very brilliant. And what a lot of people don't know is why the Wayoha people used to do that is because during heavy rains and windy kind of weather situations, we were hiding the umbrella in order to protect it from breaking. But people thought we were
Wow.
the stupid, we were the most stupid people. But there's
So,
also
so
another
you'd rather
story.
get rained on and keep your umbrella safe. Interesting.
Yes,
Go
yes,
on,
because it's
Lisa.
expensive to get a new pair anyway. And the other, another one I'll tell you about for the clan that I come from is it is a clan that they used to take, what do you call them, chicken into the forest to go and
Mhm.
graze, and then in the evening when they go to collect the chicken, there was no chicken
Wow. You're very
because the
bright
wild
people
beast,
indeed.
the wild beast had eaten them out.
Very,
So
very
that
bright.
is that is where I come from, and I was born a few years back. That is, let me just put a number onto it. I'm born 87, and the month is July, and I celebrate this because I'm told we tend to share it with a lot of Leos, and Leos are known, or the Leo is known as a,
Fun
as you know.
fact, fun fact, fun fact. Do you know that July is the month of dogs?
Yeah, but all men
I will
are.
not explain. Go on, sir.
So yeah, and that's where it all begins. Unlike most of my siblings,
Mm-hmm.
which is a family of eight, I happen to be the fourth born, and I was one of the few that was actually born in the village. Most of my siblings were born in the city center. Hao ni watu wa Nairobi. Ukiangalia birth certificate zao, it's
Mm-hmm.
Nairobi, this and all that. But my sister and I think one of my sisters and myself, we share something in common, that is the village. And
Mm-hmm.
why the village? If anybody talks to me, I tell them I'm a son of the village. And why I tell them I'm a
Mm-hmm.
son of the village, it's because I resonate well with the lifestyle of the village. Nyanduko,
Mm-hmm.
I was born in the village, yes, but I partly grew up in Nairobi, and like any other family, people move here and there trying to make a life. But at
Mm-hmm.
one point or another, my dad decided to go back to private life because before he was working in the military, and then that meant we had to change our lives and just go to become commoners. So we moved to the village, and it wasn't an easy move
Mm-hmm.
because we had the illusion that probably what we had experienced in the city will actually be
Mm-hmm.
what you're going to experience in the countryside.
Oh,
But once we arrive
okay.
in the countryside, there are things that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Among them is, for those who don't know, you've heard of jiggers in the central you know
Part of Kenya. Uh-huh.
it's a part of Kenya. Tell you what,
Mm-hmm.
I experienced jiggers firsthand in my village. And one will
Wow.
be wondering, how is that even possible? Yes, the time we moved, my dad had not finished construction, so there was this heap of sand that was collected all through in the construction site. And because of the
Mm-hmm.
hastiness that we moved back, there was not
Mm-hmm.
really room to finish up the construction. So what happened is they
Mm-hmm.
had to collect the sand into one room, and then the other rooms they had to provide them without really being cemented and carpeted and everything, flashy like we were used to. So what happened? We became jiggers infested.
Wow. That
I
must have
remember
been
nights
hard.
that was hard. I remember nights that my mother would come to, and because the discomfort of getting rid of them was even more excruciating pain than actually staying with it. So what I will do after school, I will actually go to bed and hide, and sleep early to avoid getting cleaned out. So what happened is my mother will come, insist in the middle of the night to practically get off the jiggers from the feet. And the pain, oh, Nyanduku, I can tell you. So when you tell me born and raised with a big spoon, I'm looking at you and I'm laughing because there's nothing I haven't experienced, Nyanduku. There is totally no status of life I don't think I haven't experienced. And that's, I think, has set out me as a person because I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to fit into every type of lifestyle. Nyanduko, if you bring me a life of affluence, I'll show you I can live large. If you
Mm-hmm.
bring me what we call mwananchi wa kawaida life, I can
Mm-hmm.
actually live that kind of lifestyle.
You're an
With
all-rounded
I'm
citizen.
an
Mm-hmm.
all-rounded citizen. But again,
Okay.
I cannot just say that is history I want to forget. No, that is history that I want to carry with me, because it has created the kind of man you see talking to you tonight. And that's where my
Wow.
journey begins. My mother.
Wow.
I'll tell you about that.
You know, looking at you and listening to your story, as at where we are right now, it's actually very hard to relate, because you have done well for yourself, and this is me actually giving you a compliment, because man, that is literally starting from the bottom and going all the way up. And that is where this is where we talk about the stories of people who have beaten the odds of life and come out on the other end being successful and you know, resilient and not giving up. And that is what this is, one man that actually never gave up, and this is going to be one beautiful story. So Ellie, I'm going to come back to you, and I want you to take me through your education journey, because I really want to know where it all began for you, and how you know, rose the ranks and how you got to where you are at the moment. So we are about to go for a very short commercial break, and when we come back, you talk to me about your academics. So get your papers together as we go for this commercial break.
I think Nyanduko, that one you forgive me. I'll become one of those traffic officers that you ask for papers to support why they have so much money in their bookings, and they are not able to tell why they have money. But again, as you said, we just want to talk about it when you come back. Thank you for having me, Nyanduko.
You're welcome.
I came to Nairobi for the first time in my life after campus, like after campo. Nikitembelea auntie yangu fulani here and there, but officially I came after campus. And one thing that I told myself deep down, nilijiambia huko ndani, "Hey, I have never seen women. I have not been seeing women. The women are here."
That is a Shuchi and his first time to Nairobi. Now we are talking to Likuyani Eli, who tells us about his journey, how his life has been growing up, and how he got to where he is right now, how he beat the odds of life, and how he has survived all through. Now we have Anserapin in the comment section telling us she's in. We have Anserapin saying they carry bicycles. I do not know what she's talking about and who is carrying bicycles. We also have Just Carol saying Elikana Ambata, the Single Primary Chronicles, Bare Feet, and Tom Shorts, Madak Spear. Wow. Okay. That is clearly someone who knows you. Wesley Murray says, Nyanduko 254 looking good. Thank you so much. We also have Anterfin saying, this Bayoha people, Eli. Eli, your people, your country people. It's interesting. It's interesting. Now, the program on air is Beyond Against All Odds. And today we talk about Eli and the story of Beyond Pain, how he got over pain and how he became the man that he is today. Now, Mr. Elikana Ambata, you confused me there with the studio typings, but how has been your academic journey? Tell me about how you started school, where you went to school, what you did for Masomo, because we want to know, are you really a journalist or are you purporting?
Nyanduka, I see where you are headed, but fortunately enough, there's that lady who just actually mentioned something, and I believe that's Carol. Yes, exactly. Who says Elikana Ambata? Actually, she says that it was. Let me go back again to my name, Nyanduko. You know, my real name is as Carol has written actually there. That's Elkana. That is my name.
Now, where does Elikana, where are you confusing us, sir? Is it Elkana or Elikana?
Government decided my name had to have more than 6 letters.
Oh, okay.
Because
I get you.
previously I was Elkana with 6 letters, and then Ambata with 6 letters. It was really a good even number. And then they decided, this guy cannot just come here and
I
have
honestly
great
feel
names.
you, because the government sliced my name into half. I will tell you about it something.
So yes, so actually, I was that is my studies. I started off at Moi Forces Academy, that is in Nairobi. And for those who know Moi Forces Academy, it's that is what the one in Italy, right? That is Moi Air Base. That's what we used to call it. So why? Because again, my dad was working in the military. So Quick forward, we move into the village, and the only school by then was called Musingu Primary School. This was a school of choice. Any student that went to that school was an A material. Well, I don't know about myself though, but everybody that talked about Musingu held it with high regard. Now, the thing about Musingu, it was from my village, okay, to the school was 5 kilometers away. Okay, 5 kilometers away, and we had to walk from home to school. That is, every day I did 10 kilometers, and that was quite some journey. By then, the road
So,
was
Eli,
still
allow me to understand this. So, this is after you have moved back to the village. So, this is after
yes.
you have left Moi Air Base and now you're back to the
Yes,
village.
mahali you were
Okay.
dropped at school na Land Rover ya jeshi walikuwa nazita Gilo back in our days, tulikuwa naitwa Gilo. So the Land Rover ya jeshi, you are dropped and picked mtoto wa afande, and now you have to go to a village where you have to walk to school and covering
Wow.
about, no, I've actually miscalculated because that was 2.5. Then there's this 2 kilometers. I mean 1.5. That is 4. Then 2.5. That is 6.5 kilometers to school and
Wow.
6.5 back home. So do the
That's
arithmetics.
13
That's
kilometers. How old
yes.
were you? How old were you? What class were you
I
in?
actually moved there in class 2.
Wow, that is a class 2 kid walking all those. Wow.
Yes, yes, Nyanuko.
Okay.
And what was even more interesting is in this school, having shoes on was like a capital offense. How would we other
What are you
villagers
talking
look at?
about?
Yes, exactly. You cannot come to school wearing shoes. Why would you be wearing shoes? Lazima mkwe equal. When you talk about uniformity and you know your hair has to be this and this, that was it.
Even
Going to
shoes.
yes. So unfortunately, I had shoes. So my paps would insist we wear shoes. But once you leave the house, you have to hide your shoes in your backpack. Otherwise, at school you'll be bullied for wearing shoes.
Wow.
Yes. So we will do that journey on bare feet, and the road was all maram. So you can imagine the stones pinching you as you do your 6 kilometers and a half to school and then your way back. And some days it could rain. Some people told me it was raining cats and dogs. Clearly, I saw Draculas falling off. That was heavy
In
rains.
class 2. That must have
Yes.
been tough.
And I did that, Nyanduko, until class 8. And I
Uh-huh.
want to
And
thank
then you
my
finished your class 8. You finished your
yes,
class 8 studies.
yes,
And you
yes.
know, you survived the stones and you survived the rain and you survived the jiggers. And you're at this
Mm-hmm.
point in your life where you're going to high school. So take us through your high school studies.
Well, I got to high school, and fortunately enough, I think I was meant for the village, literally, like I told you. So the next school that I joined after Musingu Primary School, which was supposed to be one of the top schools, I was meant to go to a school called Bushangala, and it's because I had seen my brother go to that school. And for me it was a school of choice, but I didn't know at that moment, if you select as your first priority, you actually get to be picked without without changes. So, and my dad said, no, you're not going to this school. The experience I had with your brother in that school, you are not going to that school. But it was my fault because I actually thought, it's cool, just cross it, cross it, cross it. So my dad said, I'm not going to go to that school. So what happened, I was my stepmom then decided to look for an alternative school to take me to, and then they happened to have this
See,
school
Ellie,
called.
see what you've done there. There's a very big chunk of the story that you've skipped, and you've just brought it in there. Your stepmom, that is another story. But for now, let's stick to your academics because clearly this is
Let's
just a
just
story
say
we're
my
going to
dad
finish
was
in
very
one day.
polygamous.
Okay. Oh, okay, okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
you come from a polygamous family.
Definitely I do.
Okay.
I
Let's
do, I
continue with
do.
the
And
academics.
that's, yeah, of course, probably time might not allow us, but let's just
Yeah.
jump into the books for now. So I'm there, and we get this school called, through her thanks to that, we got this school called Mukumu Boys St. Ignatius High School.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's why you saw somebody say they're madaks. That is what it meant. So,
Oh.
thing is, actually, for me to get into Mukumu Boys, it was also not supposed to be my school. So what
Mm-hmm.
happened is there was one friend of mine that I went to school with. The father was equally a teacher, same as the mother, and they were teaching
Mm-hmm.
together with my stepmom. So what happened is this guy is called Peter Muhanji. Probably he never knows this and probably find out today. The letter I went with to that school was actually in his name. So yes, on arrival, they had to change, you know how things work. And then bam, I got my entry and admission because he went to a different school. He chose to go to
Oh.
Chavakali. And then he went
Mm-hmm.
to Chavakali Boys High School. I went to St. Ignatius. But I believe that is where my journey began.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, as fate will have it, St. Ignatius Mukumu Boys shaped who Eli is. I arrived at St. Ignatius. The first thing you have to do, this was a very sportive school, so you have to choose what
Mm-hmm.
sports you want to do. And
Mm-hmm.
the first one that came, everybody says, I want to play football. So
Mm-hmm.
football, the first week I see me running in that field. No, no, no way, I'm not going to do
Mm-hmm.
that because I was very anti-sport. So what
You
happened
look
is
very
there was
you look
hockey.
very athletic. What are you talking
I'm
about?
I'm athletic in other things, but that story for another time because
Oh
you're about to
wow.
find out.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. This is
So
just Ellie being Ellie. Mm-hmm.
so we move on and then I discovered there's something called hockey. So I went to hockey pitch, sorry for that. And at the hockey pitch, I did my first balls and all that. And then there's this Jama that hit the cock so hard,
Mm-hmm.
and my hand was against the hockey stick. Hit me so hard. I had a swollen arm like that. That was the last time and the first time I stepped in the pitch. I disappeared.
Wow.
Now I'm
Reminds me
here.
of a day I touched a basketball ball
Mm.
and it made my fingers crooked. Yes, yes, Ellie. Let's just stick to your story because tonight it's all about you.
Thank you. So I'm here, and then with the swollen arm, I said, I'm not gonna back. I'm going not to play this thing. So I have to figure out
Mm-hmm.
what I'm gonna do. But
Mm-hmm.
Nyanduko, what I didn't tell you is Musingu was
Mm-hmm.
equally very interesting space for me because at Musingu, I was one of the people that were doing drama, and drama was like a cult in that school. But they had what
Wait,
was
you're telling me this
yes,
is a school that bashes children for wearing shoes. I'm imagining it's a
yes,
very primitive environment. And you still had drama. You competed in festivals, ama just
exactly.
in-house drama.
Competed to national level,
Oh,
to
without
national
shoes.
level without
Okay.
shoes. And one of the
Okay.
national levels probably you don't know, but Mombasa was the destination. And I think there's a
Mhm.
teacher. I still feel very arc that is not there. But if there's a teacher that changed why Ellie stopped doing drama dance in primary and went into acting. There's a teacher called Mr. Luangasi. This guy hated on me. Apparently, there was this chick that I thought I was in love with because I was still
Mm.
like a student. You know, when adolescence is
Oh.
kicking in, and then I was like,
Mhm.
so if she goes for drama, I was there for drama. If she goes
Mhm.
for choral verses, I was there for choral verses.
You are
So
academic stalker.
yes, so
Uh-huh.
I was actually kicked out of the team that was going to the nationals because of that lady.
Hmm. Sorry.
So that was my saddest moment. So I left drama dance and joined the acting one, and then we started
Hmm.
acting. And then I remember, may soul rest in peace. His name was Mr. Ahonya. By then he was teaching
Hmm.
drama in Mukumu, in Musingu High School, but then
Hmm.
he was equally giving services to the primary school. So
Hmm.
actually, that's the guy, Ahonya Hainga, that I learned my drama from. And we did
Hmm.
acting, we went to provincials, and then as politics will have it, they had to choose between dance and
Hmm.
and the normal stage acting plays. So of
Hmm.
course, drama dance there was a cult. So of course they went to the
Hmm.
nationals. So let me bring you back to Mukumu Boys. So I'm in
Hmm.
Kumu, and I remember I once did acting.
Hmm.
But in this school, the only other impediment is they equally do drama dance,
Hmm.
nothing about acting. So I was
Mhm.
frustrated. So what did I
Mhm.
do? Joined the drama club, became a very great male dancer, but it still
Ellie, you can dance.
wasn't.
Ellie,
I
I
can
have
tell you.
seen you do TikTok. Why are you lying? Anyway.
I am very particular and why I do some things the way I do them. Maybe I just like the attention you give me. You never know. So
It's okay. It's okay. I totally get you.
we there and then I joined the drama club and I was still feeling there's some emptiness in me. So what did I do?
Mhm. Mhm.
There's this teacher, his name was Mr. Moses Ngubu. I told him, sir, can we do a drama club for plays because the
Mhm.
dance is still not working for me. So
Mhm.
actually, I believe I launched the acting team for Mukumu Boys in my year. And since then,
Wow.
we started off to the zonals, we went to the districts, but of course, it was still upcoming. I think I was directing most of the acting in that school. And then
Okay.
that was the first year. The second year, we had now Mr. Malala coming in. He was still very fresh.
Cleopas
Yes,
Malala.
Cleophas
Mm.
Malala. He was still very fresh, actually. He just finished Kamusinga a few years back. So he comes in, and Mr. Malala starts directing. We went up to provincials, and that was a great uh, job he did. And the year after I left, I believe they did very well, always going to the
Mhm.
provincials and always
Mhm.
missing on a point to go to the national. You know how drama is, Nyanduko, you'll be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It can be
point
very
is,
frustrating. Mhm.
I established the drama club in Mukumu Boys, and if they still have one, chapeau to them because thanks to this guy you're seeing here, because I was the club's prefect in that school since Form 2 up to Form 4.
Wow.
So why am I telling you this, Nyanduku? Because
Mhm.
at drama, I was still the guy who will come back and report on the weekend's events. Mind you, I wasn't in the journalism
Wait.
class,
So you just became the umbrella of acting, singing, and journalism in the school.
and I was actually in the CU worship team.
Okay, now you are an all-rounded citizen. Now you are an all-rounded student. Wow, your parents must be happy.
But you know what I'm trying to drive towards, it's why I'm here talking to you. Some of these things I used to do them because of two reasons. I come from a background, Yanuko, as I told you earlier, it's polygamous. And for those who know the intrigues, there's always struggles in such kind of unions
Yeah.
where probably children will feel overshadowed or the spouse will feel there's more concentration on the other end. And there will always be those either cold wars or very vocal wars that you will experience. Unfortunately for myself, it affected me growing up because I remember
Mhm.
on instances my dad would come home drunk, and by then he was really a heavy drinker, and
Mhm.
I believe it had something to do with him stopping working and thinking that things will fall into place very quickly, but they never did. So
Mhm.
he resolved to a lot of heavy drinking. And
Mhm.
for those of you who know how the military mess used to work is people will drink so much for very little. So there was
Mhm.
always abundance of alcohol. So when you take that to the village and then you don't find where to ease your stress and all that, the next possible object to receive this is your family, especially if you've taken into drinking. So we really experienced that. I remember some instances that there was so much fights, and one early, very chilly in the morning, I wake up to my mom screaming, and she was covered in blood, and this really affected me so badly. And I remember all of us, trying to restrain my dad from hitting her because we could see she was in pain, bleeding. And at that instance, I felt so much hatred. So I used to wet my bed every night because I was so scared. I didn't know what would come how morning will arrive, and what will happen during the night. So I would go to bed, but not sure what will come of the following day. And sometimes, as parents, as partners, there are things we do that we never realize the depth. My my experience as a young child was a bit traumatic because I'm very, very close with my mom for several reasons. One is I was supposed to be a girl according to the expectations. Uh, and and when I was born a boy, it was not really how things were supposed to be. So I wasn't the favorite child because I was a boy instead of being a girl, because we had boy, girl, then boy. So the automatic one was supposed to be girl. And then I became a boy. So that is one thing. So there was a bit that issue. And that's why I was
Mm-hmm.
very protective of my mom. I remember this
Mm-hmm.
instance that things were so bad that my mom had to leave. And when she left, I formed my own defense mechanism and sort of rebellion. What I will do is I will make sure I see my mom every weekend without anybody's knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But for me to do that, I wanted somebody to feel the suffering and the pain of why I was doing that. There's this instance I would literally go to my dad's wallet, take all his money,
Mm-hmm.
and disappear with it. And if I'm asked, I was innocent, and I would blame it on the new girlfriend that he had. And there's this instance that the the girlfriend came with the family, and I knew, okay, the next person to actually get my mattress is the new guys that are coming. So what would I
Mm-hmm.
do? I would literally pour water into my bed and lie that I'd actually wet my bed.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
I think that continued until the time that things had to be ironed out, and some sort of handshake happened, and mom came back home, and I swore from that day she will never leave. She will never leave. Nyanduko, when you tell me silver spoon, I look at you and I laugh because I know of instances, I know of times that I went to sell these beans leaves, the leaves for the beans, because we were very agricultural oriented. So most of the time our crop will yield very fast compared to the rest of the neighbors. And by
Mm-hmm.
that time there was not so much vegetables around. So I will literally take those leaves, go sell, and then come with the money we've got out of it, buy other food that we didn't have. And I did that with my mother for the rest of us. So these are some of the things that made me go into acting, because when I was acting, I forgot everything behind me.
So acting for you was an escape from reality. It was that one time
Exactly,
where you okay.
exactly.
And
And when
and
I
and
was
and
I was
only
doing my plays, go ahead.
okay, you just go ahead.
And when we were doing the plays and the dramas and everything, my head was totally lost into it, because this was the only place I would feel secure. This was the only place I knew
Mm-hmm.
nobody could tell me I don't know, because I knew everything. So even
And
when
that
we
is
get we go to the losing aspects, oh, you didn't go to the nationals, I still felt
mm-hmm.
the victory, because for
Mm-hmm.
me, I was at peace.
Okay. So in the interest of time, I'd like to get your story is just very sad. I did not know this about you. And I'd like to get to the, to the higher education part. How did that bit go? And then you take us through that, and then we'll have a very short break and then come back and talk about some more stories about Eli.
Thank you, Nyanduka. Higher education, I don't know what is higher than what I've achieved in life, but I took on journalism. And again, life is really strange because the person that made sure I joined that journalism class is my dad. And you know what he did? He sold his only cow.
Wow.
So I joined my college and I do my diploma in journalism, and then again I proceed. And during that time, I was a student, but I still remembered where I come from. We do not have supplies. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what I used to do is work hard in class and work as a student journalist. I joined this media station in Eldoret as a student journalist. My simple job was to go to the field and collect news. I was the first ever journalist in that company to do a PTC. That is piece to camera, like reporting on station and sign out on PTC. I did that. And since
I am actually having a very hard time picturing you as a journalist. And by the way, you will forgive me, but you're going to do something for me. For me to believe you're actually a journalist, I want to hear you doing it, like actually doing it.
Just a disclaimer that the news we used to do was in Swahili, so I don't know how you want me to pull this out.
The
I
Swahili
hope I
is
can
just
remember.
fine.
I can
We
remember.
will understand. We will
Okay, fine.
translate.
Let me try this because I have some piece actually. I thought this would come. I have a piece I wrote thanks to one of my contacts because I still have contacts on the ground. So let
So
me read
zoom
this.
in on the camera,
Okay.
please. Take the
Yes.
whole place and
Yeah.
do your thing.
Okay. So
you have 2 minutes.
You have 2 minutes. Oh, that's a lot of news. Let's try this. Okay. So Nyanduko is about to send me on air to read the Swahili news for the evening, and I'm going to try this. It's been almost how many years since I did an article in news? It's been 11 years. So let's try this and see how it works. I'll do it in Swahili. Zifuatazo ni taarifa za habari. Msomaji ni Eli Likuyani. Mtoto wa mwaka mmoja aliyekuwa ameibiwa katika kaunti ndogo ya Funyula, kaunti ya Busia, amepatikana baada ya siku 3 za kumtafuta. Maafisa wa ujasusi katika kaunti hiyo wamemtia mbaroni mwanamke mmoja aliyetumiwa kuiba mtoto huyo wa kike mnamo Novemba 16. Kulingana na idara ya DCI, Electin Obonyo alikamatwa katika eneo la Mabatini Alhamisi jioni na kuzuiliwa katika kituo cha polisi cha Bumula baada ya kuhusishwa na wizi wa mtoto kwa jina Zawadi. Zawadi anadaiwa kuibiwa kutoka kwa mlango wa nyumba ya wakati. Zawadi anadaiwa kuibiwa kutoka kwa mlango wa nyumba yao wakati mfanyikazi wa nyumbani aliyekuwa ameachiwa jukumu la kumchunga alikuwa anafua nguo. Ripoti kuhusu kupotea kwa mtoto huyo ilisajiliwa katika kituo cha polisi cha Funyula na juhudi za kumtafuta zikang'oa nanga. Iliwachukua wapelelezi siku 3 kumtafuta mtoto huyo, na kwa neema zake Mola juhudi zao zikazaa matunda usiku wa Alhamisi, ambapo Zawadi alipatikana akiwa buheri wa afya. Mamake Ann Najumbia alijaliwa na machozi ya furaha alipompokea Zawadi akiwa buheri wa afya kutoka kwa afisa wa polisi baada ya kumkosa kwa siku 3. Mshukiwa atafikishwa mahakamani kujibu mashtaka ya wizi wa mtoto. Ni hayo tu kwa sasa. Jina langu ni Eli Ambata. Kwako studioni Nyanduko 254.
Ninakupata vizuri sana mwenzangu Eli. Wow, that is beautiful. And to think that you've not done that in a very long time and you can actually do that well. Wow, I now believe you are actually a journalist.
Thank you, Yanduko. I don't know. We've ignored our people. I don't know if people want to say something here or there, but it's up to you to see if you want to. I don't know who is
Yes,
listening to
yes.
us.
I actually want to take a few comments before we go on this very short break, and then we come back and talk about the fact that you actually became a parent at a very young age. So, who do we have in the comment section? Who do we have here? We have Anserafin saying Likuyani, the journalist. Yes, yes. This man is a journalist. We have Godi saying so bad. Yeah, it's a very touching story. And I don't know. We have Just Carol saying Isukuti dancer. Mukatikaji. Eli the dancer. We have Godwin saying hapo kwa CU ni ukweli. Well, we don't know Godi. I don't know about the CU parts, but ni kama ni ukweli. We have Just Carol saying Elkana acha nikusaidie usisahau when you used to walk barefoot all the way from Maseno to wow.
Museno.
Museno, oh, it's not Maseno, Museno too. Luya words are just something else. Ibuyoha. No, it's not
That's
Ibuyoha. It's not even Buyoha anymore.
no
Anyway, it's
Ibuyo. It's the place.
Oh, okay. I understand. So we are
Yeah.
gonna take a very short break, and when we come back, because time is really running and we have a lot we need to cover, so we're gonna take a very short break. And when we come back, Ellie, you talk to us about how you became a parent at a very young age and how the journey has been for you, and the experience so far.
Okay. I'm looking forward to actually discuss that and much more. So, wacha kaende.
Some kids, it gets them, it feels like, oh, so it's me. So it seems I'm the problem. Then they start developing guilt consciousness on issues whereby if skills like labeling is addressed well, in case there's a problem with kids, if you have a house help, you have a parent, kindly separate the person from the problem. Address the problem, spare the person. Attack the problem, spare the person.
And that is Coach Bolo for you from the Family Edition, telling you separate the problem from the person. We are live with Likuyani Eli and talking about his story, his journey, and how he got where he is right now, the things that he's had to fight, the odds that he has beaten to become the person that he is today. So Eli, as we were saying, we had talked about your academics, and we have gotten to this point where we actually talk about the fact that you are a journalist, a trained journalist, and how you became a parent at a very young age. It's an interesting story, that one. So talk to us about how you actually became a parent.
Sasa wewe unanichomea na unajua labda kuna baby girl kwa na box ananichomea. But it's all
Baby
right.
girl wanapenda watu wako responsible.
Wa baba.
Mm.
So now, Nyanduko, I think being a parent changed a lot when it comes to who Ellie is. And it started when I joined this company. And this company was actually a very Christian founded company. You cannot be engaging in other, nocturnal meetings without without having the correct documentation. So I was at this gig in Nairobi, and then we were shooting a documentary. Once we were supposed to be shooting a documentary in somewhere in Turkana, and then go from Turkana go to Malindi, and then from Malindi, go to Mombasa. So we did that gig, and then I met this young lady, very beautiful lady. And then you know how it will go. Hey, naitwa ni naitwa hivi. And then they tell me their name, and then like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna call you. In fact, it was a wrong number call when you call somebody by mistake. And look, I smile too. So this lady calls me by mistake, and I said, "Yeah, who am I?" It was a great voice, so I decided to follow up later on, and they tell me, "Yeah," because at that moment I was receiving calls from different people, and for me it wasn't really weird to get calls from a number that I don't have in my contact list. So we are there, and then we start conversations over the telephone line. And then when I went to Nairobi, because then I was working in Eldoret, I crossed over to Nairobi for the weekend, and then we meet up. And then she tells me, you know what? let's just go. I make you some meal. So I ate the meal and ate the meal too. And Nyanduko, believe me, you after finishing eating the meal and the meal itself went like nothing happened. So we were on another documentary that we were shooting for this organization called Muhuri. Probably you've heard about it. It's in the coastal region, Muslim for Human Rights and whatsoever. So we were there with this photo documentarist called Damani Baker. Probably you can know him. So once there, we arrive at Muhuri, and then we get to start the documentation of what was happening. Then text, I see a missed call, but the missed call I had no time because then after that nakwambia Nyanduko, ninaona message, hi, I hate to tell you this but I'm pregnant and I'm going to get rid of it. Nyanduko.
Wow.
Nyanduko.
So wow. That must have been hard for you, considering how old were you at the time? And it's a first time.
That is at the age of 22 then. I receive a call, rather a text, telling me I'm paged, and because I'm paged, I'm not gonna keep this baby. And I'm in the middle of a documentary. I can tell you, since that day, we had 8 days to shoot. It was on day 3. That was the end of me and that documentary. I was disoriented
it had to be
completely.
Because wow.
Completely.
Wow, that must have been hard. How did you go about it? How did you handle it? In the interest of time, the shorter version.
The shorter version is I say to them, okay, I've seen your text. I will call you.
And did you call her?
Yes, I did. After that day gig, because it was so. I was talking to the crew guys and telling them, hey guys, you know what? I know you're wondering what's happening. I'm not here, but it has become the guy you're seeing here.
It has beaten each other.
Yes, it has beaten each other. Literally. So have you ever seen that cartoon they used to call Courage it used to be called Courage the what dog? There's a word. But this dog was called Courage. Every time it was traumatized, it used to shake and eat and they're gnashing the teeth. Yes. That was me that day.
I can imagine.
So I call this lady and I tell her, I understand you've told me you are on your way to familyhood, and it's a quite difficult thing to comprehend right now, but I'm equal to the task ahead.
Wow.
So Chiquita goes ahead, tells me, okay, when you come to Nairobi, give me a call. So I arrive in Nairobi, we have a good chat. Then we say, you know what, for the interest of not having trouble, this story, I'm not even going to tell my parents because one, I'm still in college. 2, I'm trying to work as I study. And now I'm going to be a father. Those things, I cannot just tell them to my dad. Yes. Wow. So at 22, I got her pregnant. At 23, even before I hit 23, actually, my first one arrived.
Wow.
So going to hospital and collecting this young man that came changed the whole aspect of who I am. I got to understand sometimes as a father, you have to make very tough choices. And one of the tough choices I had to make was I had to work extra hard to make sure I'm able to provide for this young child. And of course, the mother. I think if there's anybody that ever enjoyed the fruits of a hard-working young man, is my son. That Jama had a ball when he was born. So fast forward, another baby on the way. Aish.
Wait, Ellie. So you decided to settle down with the lady, Ama? You just decided let's kind of
It wasn't. You just come to visit the baby, then you end up visiting the mother too. That's why I tell people, Don't visit baby mothers. Accept is either their baby mom, nothing more. If you decide to visit baby mother, you will find yourself being baby. Because at the end of the day, another one was there again. Sasa saizi kimeumana. It is so it's virtually 11 months apart. Baby number 2 is coming. Long story short, that's the time niliamua nikasema, you know what, this is for me, it's finished. Sitakuwa nikifanyia ujinga. So I decided I'm gonna concentrate on raising the children. But now I had relocated. I was here in Belgium, and then they were living in Nairobi, so I would come often in and out. When you ask me, I was shuffling in and out of the country. Those were one of the main reasons. So unfortunately, in 2016, I was at work. That was about, my son was born in February, so we celebrate his birthday on the 27th, and the mom was born on 11th of February. So they are virtually the same month and different days apart. So fast forward, I received a call from a very close friend, and I was at work. I remember it was a chilly winter. I was on top of, I think I was on the 7th or 8th floor working on top of a high worker. And then I receive a phone call, and the phone call tells me, it was a text, "I'm sorry to be the bearer of this news, but Mama JJ is no more." I was like, what? Is this a joke?
Wow.
You see, before she was pronounced dead, we had talked about 3 weeks apart, because my son, I call him JJ, he was born on the 27th. So we've done a collective birthday for them on the 27th. And then on the 11th March, the mother passes on. If there's anything that ever traumatized me, was that experience. And again, I tell people a lot of times, when you see single parents and single mothers trying just to make things work, respect those people, because you have no idea what they're going through. You have no clue how tough it is as a woman to raise a child with no father, or as a man to raise a child with no mother. More and more, I get to respect the fact that I had parents, despite the challenges that we had. I get to respect the fact that they would fight, they would disagree, but I would still go home and say, "Dad, ABCD happened. I want you to come through for me." There's one thing that I ever regret. It's, when loss happens, a lot of people look at it at who is directly affected. That's what happens. But for me, I didn't just lose a friend. I lost a very close friend. And everybody else was concentrating on the well-being of the children, where I was nobody ever asked me, "How are you, Eli? How are you doing?" Because I must say this, we were not married, okay? But we were very close, and nothing would happen without my knowledge. In fact, even when she was dating, she would tell me, "Hey, by the way, I just met a Jama and we are dating, and BCD is not going well. What do you suggest?" And I'll tell them, no, that kind of guy you've got, Mazes. You get somebody that can be close to me. That guy is so ugly. So we were yeah, exactly. I know I'm handsome. I know. People don't say it often because.
Okay. I'm not even going to comment about your handsomeness today, but I really want you to take us through single parenthood because in the interest of time as well, take us through your journey as a single parent, and how it was for you letting go, because you've said you were really hurt by this, and people did not really take time to care to know how you were handling the situation, and I'd really love to know how it was for you letting go of the fact that she is gone, and now you have to raise these kids on your own. How was it forgiving, letting go, and even moving on and raising the kids on your own?
You know, one thing again, Nyanduko, that people don't understand, children have a way of association. A child will associate depending on the kind of environment you've raised them in. And they don't just switch like you'll do a on and off light. One thing is you have to understand my children were living back then in Nairobi, and yes, we had a great connection, but I could feel they always missed something which they couldn't understand. I remember some days that I would receive calls from my sister who was now taking care of them, including one very close friend. I cannot fail to mention her name. Her name is we call him Mama Angel, but her name is Kathy. Kathy was amazing. She was taking care of my children as if they were her own. And I have my cousin bro that I really hold in high regard. He made sure every single weekend he checked on those kids. His name is Mawazo, now in Canada. And these are the people that actually were there. I'm talking about the people that were there for me in Kenya, for example. And you know, there's these close family units that stood out for there. And then we have, you know, we have people that matter that you never know until they actually step in. So I can't say I have been a single parent. I'll be lying because I've had people that I cannot mention for various reasons that took in the responsibility of raising my children. I know for sure I can never take it for granted. But what you have to understand is you always need to have a single, I say, a single unit of family that supports you. It could be your wife, could be your parents. But for me, my partners have supported me so hard when it came to my children, and I cannot take it for granted. So, having said that, I want to say I chose to be in the public, and sometimes being in the public means there are some things that have to stay private. So it's always difficult to balance and say what you can put here and what you cannot put here. Nyanduko, you know this. And for me, I want people to see Eli as Eli Likuyani and of
Mhm.
course get to engage with me because on the end of the day, I still protect my family.
Mm.
And I'm happy that my family believes in me and the dreams that we're doing as Art in Heart. I know there's a
Now,
long way to
talking
go.
about Art and Heart, yeah, there's so much I really want to cover, and I think I'm going to give you a minute to take me through Art and Heart. Now,
Mm,
Art and Heart, the dream. When was
mm,
it born? I know you talked about it on the anniversary show, but in a very quick manner, how did it
mm.
come into existence, and what is your plan for Art and Heart as it is now? Because you are the CEO.
Well, again, Nyanduku, let me tell you something. You are one of the brainchilds of Art in Heart and the things we do here as Art in Heart. And every single time we get to talk about Art in Heart, probably most of the time people see Ellie, but there are a lot of people behind Art in Heart. There are people who spend their time advising me on what we need to do, what we should be improving, and how we should be doing. When you see Art in Heart, there's something that probably people shouldn't take for granted is Art in Heart. It's basically a copy paste of Ellie's life. Everything
Okay.
and most of the things we discuss here are me opening up to people about the things that matter to me and
As
to
a
the people
person.
that I care about. Yes. So to me, Art in Heart is very, very personal. I know at one point, my partner used to tell me that, hey, Ellie, why can't you just start counseling people? And I was saying, why? Because you're always talking and advising people.
Hmm.
And I was like, I didn't know that. Yeah, at one point in Nyanduka, I wanted to do a psychology and counseling whatever certificate, but I just say no. What I want to have is conversations. I want to have healthy
Mhm.
conversations with
Authentic
people,
conversations.
authentic. And that's sometimes, when you go to a professional, they want to handle you as a project. You are a project to them. You are a business to them. Art in Heart is not making people a business project. Art in Heart is about conversations that shape and change how we look at things. So, all said and done, the future that we have, I cannot tell. But there's one thing I can tell you for free, that Nyanduko, we want to engage with people at a personal level. We want to inform people about things that matter to them. We want to engage with people when it comes to education and entertaining. And we can never separate these things. Those are the four main pillars that stand for who we are. So tonight, even as we come to a close with Against All Odds, I don't know if this is the moment of me talking or not, but allow me. I want to tell people this is going to be the last episode and the final one of Against All Odds. But there's so much to be talked about by the end of the day. And yes, you will be seeing a lot of things changing here and there. We will see Nyanduko doing amazing stuff in the next seasons. But as Against All Odds comes to an end, it doesn't mean this is where Eli stops. It doesn't mean this is where Art in Heart stops. It means a new breath of life is being opened. All said and done, my stories cannot be shared in 1 hour.
Well, clearly that is Elikana Ambata for you, the man who you cannot enclose in a single box and talk about in an hour. Clearly, he has so much to tell us. And as we come to the end of this particular show, I hope you have learned something from his journey as a person, from the things that the odds that he has had to beat as a person, and the growth that has come with him, and where he is right now. I mean, it is something to be happy about. So it has been an amazing story, and the show is against all odds. Sadly, this is, or happily, this is the last episode of the season, and we're gonna talk about people's stories, but not as as a whole show next season. And it has been amazing hosting you, sir, and it is amazing that I've actually gotten to see this other side of you. And as he has said, the future of Art in Heart looks brighter than my face. So it's going to be a beautiful journey as we go on, and as we unravel every other new chapter, because like he has said, we do not know where this is taking us, but we will wait it out and work and see where it goes, because this is our dream. This has been Against All Odds with me, Nyanduko 254, and I'm going to leave you with a song from Tonia Shimwe, Nakuabudu, the cover. Good night. God bless.
And before you just say that, good night and God bless. Nyanduko, you can make people here throw stones and vibrate with a lot of anger. I'm not single. Mimi siko available. Nyanduko has just decided to leave. But anyway, I'm not available. For all of you people thinking, oh, Eli is available. I'm not available, and I'm not in the market for shares. Watu wamecomplain sana. It's never in my intention to read my own messages and tell my own stories. Thank you so much for everybody that came tonight to be part and parcel of Art in Heart. We have Njonjo who says, Likuyani reporting from Eldoret. That's very true. We equally have, who is this here? We have Nyanduko. Can you add the time? Eli's story seems to be long. Pana, wewe wacha hiyo. I planted my baby at 22 as well. We harvested him when I was 23. The journey is never funny. That's very true. This kind of kupanda mbegu sio kazi rahisi sana. Eshuchi, ati you harvested. Indeed, Eshuchi harvested. Nyanduko, as you are away, I decided I'll not be mean with people. We'll read the messages for you.
Oh yes, by the
for
way,
the
that
rest
was
of the
very
team.
rude of us. How can we? Your story was just too touchy that we forgot that Eshuchi planted a seed at 22 as well.
Anasema mimi ni sharpshooter. Ati kuna mwingine hapa amesema I decided to visit both. Mazee, hii kazi inakuwaga noma kunoma re. Eli ni mfano. Wewe pia unachoma bana. Hakuna tu
And Seraphine, how do you know? How do you know? Anyway.
Eshoche concludes by saying, you are always talking. Okay, clearly that was the point I said. So Nyanduko, as I was saying, kuna watu hapo mnaweza kuwa umewapea hapa hopes, oh, Eli is available. I'm not available.
Eli is taken.
Stay away
Is
from me.
taken from here to the gods. He is not
Yes,
single.
yes, I belong. I
And
belong.
now that this my guest decided to be my co-host, I hope you're done taking the comments. Thank you for doing that for me, because you know hata macho yangu saa ingine ingekata your story. But thank you for engaging us in the comment section. Now I am actually saying my good night for real, and leaving you with a song from Tonya Shimwe, the cover of Nakuabudu. Now good night and God bless properly.
Okay, sasa na mimi nawapenda wote. Asante sana kwa kukuja na kusikiza story yangu. Good night.
Moyo wangu wa kutamani, ewe Baba, mwili wangu wa kulilia, kama vile ayala atamani maji yakienda kiu. Moyo wangu wa kutamani, ewe Baba, mwili wangu wa kulilia, kama vile ayala atamani maji yakienda kiu. Oh, kuabudu Bwana ni kuabudu, ndiyo tamaa yangu milele. Yesu ni kuabudu, ni kuabudu Bwana, ni kuabudu, ndiyo tamaa yangu milele. Yesu ni kuabudu, ni kuabudu Bwana, ni kuabudu, ndiyo tamaa yangu milele. Yesu ni kuabudu. Haba chini ya mbawa zako, sala ni moja, kwamba kwa macho haya yangu nione utukufu wako. Tenda miujiza Baba, tenda maajabu, kwani fadhili zako ni bora kuliko uhai. Haba chini ya mbawa zako, sana ni moja, kwamba kwa macho haya yangu nione utukufu wako. Tenda miujiza Baba, tenda maajabu, kwani fadhili zako ni bora kuliko uhai. Ni kuabudu Bwana, ni kuabudu, ndiyo tamaa yangu